I'm Gemma Watts, and today we're going to turn this face into the face of someone who gets 8 hours sleep and drinks the right amount of water. So my goal at all times is just having really fresh, dewy, glowing skin. But literally every single thing about winter does the opposite. Cold air dries your skin out, but then so does artificial heating. So it's like there's no escape. And if you can manage to have naturally dewy, glowing skin instead of this dull situation in the winter, I applaud you. So this is the L'Oreal Pure Clay Brightening Mask. They do a bunch of these masks with, specific purposes. I wouldn't always use a mask before applying makeup, but I feel like my skin's looking particularly dull today. So this is like, I think of it as a hangover cure, but for your skin. Because it's brightening as well, it evens out your skin tone. My, primary skin concern is that I have quite a bit of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So I find that any product targeted towards brightening the complexion tends to help fade that. So this ticks a bunch of boxes for me. So I'm just gonna let this do its thing for 10 to 15 minutes. I'll probably go the full 15 because I'm feeling dull today. So I follow up any clay mask with a lot of heavy duty moisturizer, just so you can, replace that moisture that you might have lost during the mask. I'm using Age Perfect. Just because you're 25 doesn't mean you can't use targeted anti-aging products. With mature skin, it's often that bit drier. So I find that anti-aging products are a little bit more hydrating. Also, another concern with mature skin, I haven't finished my coffee yet, is age spots. So it's the same principle, as the hyperpigmentation. So this is a good one for hydrating and brightening, which is again, 2 massive ticks from me. So I feel really hydrated after that, so I'm going to go straight in with True Match foundation. This is really good because it's quite fluid, so you can sheer it out as much as you need to for a really natural look. I'm mixing 2 shades today. I'm using 2N and 7W. Normally I am more of a neutral, but I've got some hectic false tan on today, hence this discrepancy, so I need to warm it up a bit. I always prefer applying foundation with a brush because as much as I love the way it looks when people apply it with their fingers, I'm just no good at it. And I feel like if you use a sponge, it can be tempting to kind of pack it on that bit more, and I really like the coverage to be quite sheer and dewy. So that's actually done a really good job of covering up most of my pigmentation despite it feeling really weightless. But I do have quite a bit of redness at the moment because of the dryness. Thank you, winter. So I'm just going to go in with my concealer palette. This is so messy because it's quite well loved. This is the Infallible Total Cover palette. I don't tend to color correct. I just mix a few of these shades, and what I will do is pop it on just using my finger, and then I'll pat it in because I feel like the warmth of the finger helps the product really blend into the skin more. My whole ethos is just your skin but better. I never want to look too done. And then what I'll do once I've patted it on is I'll just take a concealer brush, and I suppose the best way to describe it is I'm using the brush to blend out any harsh edges just so that the concealer fits in really seamlessly with the foundation. I'm not massive on setting powders because my skin does err towards dry anyway, so it does kind of stay in place, and I really want my skin to look quite luminous. What I am going to do though, just to warm things up, I'm using Back to Bronze just on a big fluffy brush. And I'm just going to dust it wherever the sun would naturally hit. So you can kind of work in a 3 shape. So then you hit the temples, the cheeks, and also the jawline. And then using a more fine tapered brush, I'm going to do the most subtle of subtle contours. Because I want my bone structure to look so good. But also, as I said, I don't want to look done. So just a smidge. I'm just taking the Life's a Peach blush. I much prefer, for a natural look, and when you've got a bit of a tan, I much prefer peaches to pinks, to each their own. People will tell you that the trick with blush is to smile, and there's the apples of your cheeks. My face is chipmunk-esque already, so if I do that, my whole face is the apple. So I just find what I think to be the fleshiest part and I almost blend it up as you would a contour. The trick is not to let it dip below the end of the nose, because that will drag your whole face down and make you look a bit saggy. Now this last bit is my little trick. This is the Infallible Luminizing Primer. I hear you, primer goes on before the foundation, but based on the colour and the consistency of this, I actually like to use it as a highlighter. This feels almost like a serum in its texture, so when you press it into the high points of the face, I guess the texture of it kind of mimics that of just bare skin. I don't know if you can see that properly. Like a beautiful pearl colour. It's very fluid, so I get a tiny bit on my finger. I'm just going to pat that. This is obviously not the blending part, just wherever I want the light to hit. So I generally will take it up to the brow bone and the cupid's bow, as well as obviously doing the high points of the cheek. I'm just going to show you again on this side because there's the window, so the light's that bit better. Sometimes I'll bring it up in kind of a C shape. Some would argue that that's a bit extra, but now what I'm doing is just taking that same finger, patting, 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 patting. This obviously takes a lot more time than it would with a brush, but for me and for my skin, I think the effect is a lot more natural this way. I used to really like the idea of taking it down to the tip of the nose as well, but in retrospect, terrible idea, because anything you highlight is going to look as though it's protruding a bit. So if you're doing, I mean, the end of my nose is just shiny anyway, but if you're highlighting the tip of your nose is going to look Pinocchio-esque. Which, if that's your vibe, all power to you, but not today. I'm not putting any product in my brows because I just had them tinted, so I think we're all good, but that's pretty much me. Of course, you can use this as a base for any other eye makeup or lips, but on the reg, I tend to just keep it as natural as possible. I want to say no makeup, but it's quite clear that I am wearing makeup, but just on a day-to-day, this is about all I'll do. I might put a bit of gloss on and maybe some mascara, but for me, I often just think really fresh, dewy skin is actually a bit sexier than, you know, you full-on red lip and your smoky eye. To each their own, but yeah, this is me. Simple, simple. That's how makeup should be. If you start stressing about it, then it's not fun anymore. And if you're not having fun with beauty, what is the point?